Hey everybody, I'm Tucker Sennett, your NC State on SI beat writer and podcast host here, hosting the NC State Insider Podcast. Excited to be with you on a college football Saturday, although this will be coming out on Sunday, so we'll have some more of these results, but getting this in before some of those results come out, so won't talk a ton about that until tomorrow. Um, However, great day to be a college football fan. I figured I'd run it back to Thursday to talk a little bit more about that NC State win before we move on. And I wanted to take a more in-depth look at CJ Bailey's performance, the obviously the Wolfpack's quarterback. Um, in his first game of his sophomore year, Bailey decided to return to NC State after a sort of trial by fire freshman season when he proved to be one of the best freshman quarterbacks in the nation, one of the best freshman quarterbacks in Dave Doran's tenure at NC State. Just a really strong year for somebody who wasn't expected to be in that role coming in. And, expectations were higher coming into this season. His development and physical growth was talked about a lot over the course of the last month or two, especially at ACC kickoff and throughout fall camp for NC State. So those were certainly things to monitor going into this game. And, he had a strong performance in some aspects against ECU in the Military Bowl loss, threw for three touchdowns, did throw an interception, um, struggled at times against their pressure and sort of the game management, but came out and proved that he could handle this being the focal point of an offense in this first sophomore start. He had good, command over the huddle from what I could see, had confidence, but there were certainly some things to work on. He came out in that first half and he was accurate, completed, I believe, 14 out of 16 of his first passes before the offense kind of sputtered a little bit in the second quarter. Um, but the good things, he showcased that great arm strength through that 48-yard bomb to Wesley Grimes in the first half for a touchdown. Um, the mobility is really good. I mean, the 11-yard touchdown run the footwork was phenomenal, kind of weaving his way around that offensive line for that touchdown. Really, really impressive stuff there. And he had the intermediate passing game working early. That connection with freshman receiver Teddy Hoffman on that one drive had those three completions and looked good, looked accurate. And then ECU sort of ramped up their pressure. They started throwing some different looks at him, and the ball started to sail a little bit. He even said that after the game that he he just lost a little bit of focus and was having trouble in those intermediate passing downs. So that's something to work on. That's really the crux of this episode is what does Bailey need to improve upon to to level up that performance. He finished with 318 yards and a touchdown. That's a solid outing for a lot of quarterbacks. Had a um, 70% completion rating, 153 QBR, and a really solid, or sorry, 153 passer rating, a 78.5 QBR. Sorry for mixing that up. Um, that would be crazy. His QBR was that good, but um, yeah, I think the interception was a little bit eye-opening because his processing ability there wasn't on point. So that's something to watch and improve on for sure is how he's seeing the field, how he's able to deal with those situations where his first read isn't there. And he looked good at times doing that, but it was certainly there were some moments of frustration, and I think this skill group will need to help him out. And I think Hoffman did a really good job of that on that one play where that he caught on the sideline early, because that was kind of an ad lib by those two. And if he has a guy where he can, they have that telepathic communication ability, that could be really, really important, in terms of him being able to escape some of that pressure and then also make a play out of it rather than just be able to throw it away. The decision making at times was not great. There were some quarterback draws that were more play calling decisions than his fault, but I just felt like he could have found some space there and you know figured out a way to adjust out of those. He see what's coming from the defense. Maybe he doesn't have full control of the offense yet. Or they're sort of easing him into that commanding role. We'll see, but I just think being able to recognize what the defense is throwing at you a little bit better could go a long way for him. Um, the pocket presence at times under pressure for such a big guy was a little bit concerning. When he gets enveloped, or when he got enveloped, he got a little bit he got happy feet sort of, and he likes to get out and have a clean pocket. And I think, if he wants to take that next step, he's gonna have to throw under pressure. And that's something he talked about in his post-game press conferences, having that ability to throw in high pressure situations and with hands in his face, because it's not going to be like practice in real games. There's going to be defenses up in his grill. And that's when he brought up the ball sailing on him a little bit, because in many of those situations where ECU actually got to him, he struggled to complete passes. So I think either turning those into positives on the ground, or just you know being able to step up and fire accurate throws under pressure will really help him moving forward. There was one play where the pocket kind of enveloped. He stepped up, dumped it off to the wire, or to I believe it was Hollywood Smothers, for like a 5 or 6 yard gain check down. That was really nice. He realized he was in trouble, stepped up, didn't panic, fired a nice accurate pass to the running back, got those 5 yards, dump down, easy. So if he's able to put that all together, could be massively improved in the coming weeks. So yeah, I mean, those are the main things that I think he needs to work on. I think there was far more positive than negative to take away from his week one performance. And, you know, a lot of it is going to be play calling with him. In the past, NC State has struggled with being overly conservative in games. So it's really a question of, are they willing to sort of let him off the chain and win some of these games with his ability and his explosiveness. And I think in a lot of ways, that comes down to their comfort with his development, and he showed that he can make those explosive plays. He had the 48-yard touchdown pass to Grimes, the 46-yard pass to Grimes into traffic, the 50-yard pass to Teddy Hoffman down the sideline. A lot of really good showcases of his arm strength. So if they're comfortable letting him, fire some missiles, it could be a really big year for him. In comparison to some of the other ACC quarterbacks that I've seen early, he's looked really strong so far. I think Haynes King is probably the best performance I saw, but he's obviously a veteran. You kind of know what you're getting with him, and there's always some injury risk with him with the beating he takes in that offense. But Bailey's looked really good. Darian Mensah was good, but they played against an FCS opponent in Elon, and it kind of took a little bit for him to get going at Duke. So all things to monitor. I think if Bailey works on those things, Virginia should be a pretty easy win for the Wolfpack, and they're moving to 2-0. That's all I got today for the NC State Insider Podcast. As always, thanks for tuning in. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at Senate Tucker, and also follow our website's account at Wolfpack on SI. You can find more of these episodes on Sports Videos on SI, our YouTube channel, as well as post-game press conferences for all of our college coverage. Lots of great stuff happening. I'm sure a lot of people are interested in what's going to be going on in Chapel Hill on Monday with Bill Belichick's debut with the Tar Heels, as well as other college content. And I'll be back with you in the coming weeks ahead of every game, talking Wolfpack football. Always a pleasure. Hope you enjoy your Labor Day weekend.